Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to Random Trek. I am your faithful Captain Abraham Lincoln, Christopher Ingle, joined as always by my trusty first officer, Commander Brennan Kalis, the Mystical Mar. Brennan, how you doing?
Well, I was just talking to Jeffrey Chaucer, so now he showed up.
Was that before or after Charles Dickens?
Before.
Before, got it. Yeah, today we are taking a look at the classic season 3 episode number 22 of the original series, The Savage Curtain. And as I alluded to, this is the one with Space Lincoln.
Yep.
Brennan, but before we get into the details of the episode, I knew of this episode, but I had actually watched it on my own before the randomizer picked it, but maybe a week before, just randomly catching up on episodes I'd never seen. On your first view of this, was it as just bat crazy as I thought it was?
It was crazy, but I do think it has some interesting things about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the better season 3 episodes, I think.
That's true. Absolutely very true. So let's get right down into this episode so we can go into the craziness that is this episode.
Yeah.
So the Enterprise arrives at the volcanic planet of Excalibur, and they're going to be conducting geological surveys. However, sensors detect a carbon-based life form on the planet, which shouldn't exist. And then the image of Abraham Lincoln on a chair drifts towards the view screen, like Abraham Lincoln's in space, but it's a view screen image. They're really skeptical that this is the real president of the United States. However, Kirk extends full presidential honors to Lincoln and even says, let's transport him aboard the ship. They transport Lincoln aboard. They get in full dress, and everyone thinks Kirk is nuts about this. So when they look at Lincoln, he appears human, but he has no knowledge of the technology past his time in the 19th century. But yet he is very familiar of Vulcan philosophy, which is interesting. He mentions gnome, which it means all, and kind of shows a respect for a diversity of factors that make up existence.
And he asks himself how he knows that.
So Lincoln's mentioning of gnome, then he calls Uhura a negress. And then apologizes instantly, which, by the way, appreciate very much so. But she's not offended by it. In her century, people respect who they are. That's what she says. And so she's not offended by being called this. Lincoln then invites Kirk and Spock to accompany him down to the planet where an area has shown up on the planet that is hospitable. It has Earth-like conditions. They believe it could be an illusion, but Kirk accepts. Saying that the Enterprise's main mission demands that they contact any new life, seek out new life and new civilizations. This could be that. So he says, let's go. When they reach the planet, Kirk and Spock find out that their tricorders, their weapons, didn't transport down with them. And they are met by Surak, the father of Vulcan civilization, who had died centuries before this. There's a rock-like being that has kind of these clawed, weird hands and a lot of glowing eyes. His name is Yarnek. He says that the inhabitants of the planet, which is him and his species, want to conduct an experiment. They want to figure out whether human philosophy is stronger good or stronger with evil. Which way is better? In the experiment, basically they create from their memories the worst of the worst and the best of the best, in their opinion. So they create Earth Warlord Colonel Philip Green,
Yep.
The Klingon warrior Kalis.
Who at this
Uh,
time would be considered a villain
mhm.
by Kirk because of the
Um,
Cold War.
an unethical scientist by the name of Zora and Genghis Khan.
Mm,
They represent evil up against Kirk, Spock, Lincoln, and Surak. And it's going to be a fight to the death.
mm,
So Colonel Green offers an alliance with Kirk against the Excalbians, so they can all return to where they came from. But of course, it's a ruse. It's a distraction for a surprise attack. Uh, Kirk and the good guys, we're going to call them all the good guys or the bad guys. So Kirk and the good guys managed to fend off the attack and run for cover. The good guys decide that the Excalbians are actually the true enemy, not the bad guys. Kirk attacks Yarnek, but his alien body is like lava. It's too hot to touch. He can't touch it. So to force him to fight, Yarnek breaks down the shielding that they created. The shielding that's between matter and antimatter, basically saying if you don't fight, the Enterprise is going to blow up.
mm.
So the shielding between the matter antimatter that protects with the reaction on the Enterprise basically says the Enterprise is going to die unless you do something within 4 hours. Wow. So Kirk and the others start to make spears and simple weapons. Surak, who's in his life has been focused only on peace, he goes alone to the enemy camp and tries to negotiate. But Green's group kills Surak and then lures the others by mimicking Surak's voice for a cry for help.
Kalis is good at
Lincoln,
that. Yeah.
yeah, Lincoln wants to sneak around and free Surak while Kirk and Spock kind of provide the diversion. When Lincoln gets there, he finds Surak dead and Kalis and Green waiting to ambush him, and they fatally stab him. He staggers back to Kirk and Spock, telling them, beware, and he's dead. With a spear in the back, he's dead. Now they're outnumbered 2-1. So Kirk and Spock confront Green's group in direct battle. They however, quickly run away after Kirk kills Kalis and Green. He kills a Klingon warrior. That's impressive, even if it's an illusion that's pretty impressive. Now, despite the conditions of the fight to the death that aren't finished, Yarnek says that the experiment is over. He concludes that there is no difference between good and evil because the methods used to fight each other are exactly the same. Kirk says that basically the similar methods of how the two fight doesn't define them as a species. It doesn't define who they are. And Yarnek set the conditions. So the experiment is flawed. What he says, what defines them is the things for which they fight, why they fight. Kirk and Spock were fighting for the survival of the Enterprise, fighting for others. The others only fought for power. The Excalbians let Kirk and Spock return to the Enterprise. Though the mystery of understanding what exactly Lincoln and Surak were kind of remains unresolved. Spock offers the idea that the Excalbians, using their ability to change matter, had transformed other living beings into a likeness of Lincoln and Surak, and then made Kirk and Spock use their minds to create the personalities. So it all came from their mind. Kirk notes that the Enterprise would possibly carry on the work of Lincoln and Surak before they leave the Excalibur solar system. That's how the episode ends.
Yeah.
Thoughts on this, Brennan?
We've seen this kind of story in Star Trek before.
Mm-hmm.
In a way of aliens wanting to understand human ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And we see, for example, with Arena, Kirk's display of mercy was impressive to the Metrons.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, it's interesting because these are Kirk's own ideas of good and evil. At this time in history, the Federation would not have thought very highly of Kalis.
Mm-hmm.
Because they didn't think very highly of the Klingons.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of this morality playing out, the Scalbians are certainly, by our standards, rather questionably moral. But to them, it may be normal.
Mm-hmm.
But the idea of having these guys fight to the death,
Mm-hmm.
to prove basically which philosophy is stronger. But I do like the fact that, in terms of the theme, it's the idea that good and evil use violence,
Mm-hmm.
um, but we use it for different reasons. And certainly this is a very tricky question because we've seen throughout history the idea of even when you fight for good motives, bad things are going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And there is that moral conundrum of being human. And I think that what the lesson here is that, violence is a way of existence.
Right.
But in many cases, are you fighting to defend others
Mm-hmm.
or are you fighting just for power?
Right.
And I like that thematically it shows that the fight to protect those you care about matters more than the fight for power.
Right. I don't know. For me, I guess I'm personally tired of the Enterprise being experimented on, or
That's true.
in Star Trek
That's true.
period,
That's true.
our main characters being experimented on. It's kind of pastiche to
Yeah,
me.
thrown
I,
into an arena by aliens to examine some thing.
it's not the first time. It's not the last
Yeah,
time, and it
it's
just
happened
gets
many
trite.
times.
And where the craziness comes in is I really feel like this was the kind of thing where we went, let's throw ideas at a dartboard. Let's just put random ideas on a dartboard and let's throw. We got
Mm.
Space Lincoln. Space Lincoln. What can we do with that?
Mm.
Transforming lava monsters. Oh, that's great. I feel like there is no cohesion, and the idea of the story only develops out of the craziness of it. But I'm gonna say I don't feel it's a great story because we've
No.
seen the Enterprise crew be challenged against each other and the nature of humanity over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's true.
And it will continue that way. The entire premise of the next generation and the trial of Q is exactly that.
Yeah.
Although I think the Q trials are done far better than every time the original Enterprise is taken over and stopped or held or whatever.
Yeah.
It gets tiring, and
It's true. I
I
I
don't.
think
Oh, go ahead.
I think the story is, yeah, it's not the strongest part. I think the strongest part here
I think it's weak.
it
I
is
really, yeah,
the story's not strong, but the strongest part of the whole thing is Lee Berger as Abraham Lincoln.
true.
I think he nails it.
Mm-hmm.
And so in that sense, yeah. But it's
Link,
almost like it might have been
yeah,
if
Lincoln
they had
him.
had a whole episode of Lincoln on the Enterprise, that could have been some interesting stuff.
Lincoln himself is interesting in the performance. Sure, they got a good guy to really hit Lincoln,
Hmm.
but I don't know. I guess I'm jaded to the fact that I've seen this plot so many times, and the idea of Space Lincoln becomes a joke in different circles. Heck, even Futurama makes fun of Space Lincoln.
Mm.
This whole idea. Um, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. Now, trying to weave in good versus evil, I get it. At least that's something that, like, well, you're right, but it's just hacked, And then your choices of who good and evil are. Lincoln is okay, I'm sure, but you're telling me you couldn't come up with Gandhi?
Hmm.
I don't know. I would have taken Gandhi over Lincoln if I would have represented what the Enterprise is supposed to stand for. Lincoln was a general at war. Gandhi makes more sense.
Yeah. No, that
You
that
know,
makes sense. I think I agree there.
but I feel a little strongly that there was a little less ability to branch out, and they chose the most recognizable
Mm.
peace-sparing figure that was white. I would have liked to stretch that a little bit. That
No,
would have been
interesting. Yeah, no, yeah.
And on the other side, Colonel Green is a creation that will come back. It will come
Mm.
back
Yes.
in small
Yes.
ways later on.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good one to kind of build the lore a little bit, and I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Kalis, I'm not opposed to it, but it has the same problem all Klingons do in this era. Um, it's not particularly interesting. We get more on the development of Kalis once we have Worf and we understand
Yeah.
Klingon mythology and
Mm-hmm.
eventually see the clone of Kalis. That
Mm-hmm.
down the line will be fascinating. And then the doctor that's with I don't even already I read it too and I don't even remember.
Dr. Zora.
Or not even interesting,
No,
not at
not
all.
at all. No.
So none of them are fascinating with the exception of Green to me. Oh, and then Genghis Khan, that's another problem that I have is the portrayal of Genghis Khan is so stereotypical and awful. Their choices were poor here. I think there were better ways that this could have been done. Um, let me preface this. It isn't an awful episode.
No, it's actually one of the better ones of this season.
It really is, but when you start to look at it and pick at it, I'm going, eh, I
Maybe
don't
an
know.
whole episode of just Lincoln on the Enterprise would have been kind of interesting, I think.
I don't know. Lincoln's strange. It's
Or
just
somebody else, or another figure on the Enterprise. Can you imagine what an episode like, as you say, with Mahatma Gandhi on the Enterprise for an
and
hour? That would
and the
be
thing is that
interesting.
I think that this episode only could work in original series.
Yeah.
There is no way this could even work in TNG. This just it I don't buy it.
Well,
It wouldn't.
particularly nowadays with our analysis of historical figures.
Yeah, I don't think this could work. It's definitely an effect of its time. And again, I get why you chose Lincoln, but I just don't think there's a lot of creativity in that choice.
Okay. No, that's fair. I think I like this episode better than you do,
I don't know. I
but we
wanted to be
don't
impressed,
dislike it.
and
We don't
when I
dislike
didn't
it.
dislike it, and like I said, when I was scrolling through what episodes haven't I seen? Have I seen? And again, I watched it before Randomizer hit it. Just Randomizer happened. It was like, oh, cool. It was because I wanted to see Space Lincoln. I wanted to see what that was all about. But I think you could definitely see the writers stretched a little thin here.
Yeah, I agree there. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not one that I personally recommend. You have to go watch it. You want to watch it, that's fine. You're going to watch it. It's
It
good
has
versus
a
evil.
couple of moments that are interesting, for sure.
It does. But the Rock Monsters point that good and evil are the same. Now that is a deep philosophical point that
It
I
is,
really
yeah.
love.
It is, yeah.
And that's something I would love to take a few moments here to dig into because that's what Star Trek is about, is digging into these deeper philosophical issues that we don't
Mm-hmm.
really get to talk about. This
Mm-hmm.
idea that we separate good and evil based on a strong morality core. But at
Mm.
the end of the day, there are a lot of people who go to war in the name of good. There are people who
I mean,
steal and do the same actions in the name of evil.
I mean, we had to go to war against the Nazis because
Mhm.
they were gonna destroy the world. I mean,
You're right. But it begins to get me to ask that question. And this is the one part of it that I really do like is, was he wrong? Are we still the same part of different sides of a coin, that humankind is good and evil? We are both. It is the
I think
same.
we are. Yeah, I think we are.
And in the end too, human interest, I think, hits both sides very well. Even though, like, people like you and I, we try to live our lives for the betterment of others, we want to help others
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
share and entertain it. The reality is that humankind is selfish. We're selfish to protect our. Oh, go ahead.
It's the natural state that we have to overcome.
That's true. But selfishness can work both ways.
That's
We
true.
could want to protect what is close to us and what is important to us.
That's
We
true.
could also
Very
want
true.
to conquer, but we use the same methods to handle both.
It's very true. It's a deep idea. It really
Mhm.
is.
But then that leads to what Kirk says, and Kirk's right. It isn't just the actions that are with it, it's the reasoning behind it. But then I
Mm-hmm.
ask, is that merely justification?
Mm.
Or would someone like Gandhi have said, no, these actions are wrong? Our
Mm.
use of violence is wrong.
Mm.
See what I mean? Where choosing Lincoln was an interesting decision. If you had chosen a different peacemaking individual in history, your narrative changes.
Yeah, because it's true. He led a country at war.
Mm-hmm. He
Yeah.
would have justified it. Gandhi wouldn't have tolerated that. Gandhi wouldn't have put up with that.
Yeah.
And thus does not work in the narrative you're trying to create.
Yeah.
So in the end, this is a very one-sided view from the writer's perspective. Now, I understand that these kinds of biases exist when we write. I just,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I would like a little more creativity, a little more out there, and a little more depth. Let's be willing to go a little further into it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was
Yeah.
fine. I didn't hate it. I didn't shut it off. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. There you go.
Okay. This doesn't happen very often where I'm just not in it. I'm just not there and we
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
disagree, but it just wasn't working for me. But that's okay. I did get to enjoy a classic piece of Trek, and
Mm-hmm.
that much was cool. But now I know where Space Lincoln came from.
Yep.
All right. So obviously, it's not a great recommendation for me. What about you?
It's a curiosity. I'll say that much.
That is a fair way to put it, I think.
I wouldn't say to skip it. I would just say if you're interested, you might check it out.
Yeah, I
But
would
it's
agree.
not required viewing. It's not required
No,
viewing.
unless you really want to know more about Space Lincoln. If
Yeah.
you're a Lincoln nut, this is for you.
Or
This
Serac.
is for you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, we made a boo boo and we skipped a series that we have to touch because that's
Mm-hmm.
us.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we got to do. So next week we are going to be taking a look at Strange New Worlds.
Mm.
Yay! We love Strange New
We
Worlds.
love that show. We do indeed.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Um, so we're gonna go ahead and hit the randomizer for Strange New
Okay.
Worlds and see
Wheel of
what
morality. Turn, turn,
turn,
turn.
turn, turn, and see what gem it wants to give us. All right, let me bring
That
it up
didn't rhyme.
here. Oh, wheel of morality, turn, turn, turn. Don't give us a turd, please. No, it still doesn't rhyme, but I don't care. Oh, that's great. I love it. Anyway, all right. So here we go. Let's hit the randomizer. Nope, we've already got that one. It gave us Subspace Rhapsody. We did that one.
Mm.
We did that one.
I'm
All
ready.
right. Yeah, let me hit this one again. Okay. All right. Season 1, Episode 6. Lift us where suffering cannot reach.
Mm.
Oh. This is that
Okay.
one with the little boy.
All right. All right.
Oh, I have
right.
some strong thoughts on this one. Oh,
Oh
now
boy.
I don't hate it. I'll say that now, but I've got some strong thoughts on that one.
All
Do you
right.
remember? Do you remember this one?
Not really.
Okay, I'll leave it at that. We'll rewatch it and we'll reconvene and talk.
Yep.
Brennan, where can the people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Brennan Mystical. You can find me on Threads and Instagram at Brennan Blue.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me on Blue Sky, Facebook. You can also follow this podcast at Page Turners They Were Not on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at Ingle1984. And we're just putting it out there. We're only at the beginning of May here, but May begins a summer of 80s sci-fi for us.
Yes, yes,
I'm
it does.
really excited. So every month during the summer, May, June, July, and August, at the end of the month, we're going to take a look at a classic 80s sci-fi film that we grew up with.
Yep.
And we're going to run the gambit. We'll do a little bit of drama, a little bit of comedy, a little bit of just kind of fantasy in there with the sci-fi. But this month, at the end of the month, we are taking a look at the granddaddy of family sci-fi films, the one that really started it all, that I think showed that Steven Spielberg could be a family filmmaker. This month, end of the month, we're taking a look at E.T., the Extraterrestrial. So that is something. E.T. Phone Home. And we'll see who we get to join us on that trip. I don't know.
Yeah,
You know who we should get? Well, we see if we could do it. He's a new dad. Maybe we can get Mark Riley to join us. That'd be nice. We'll see what we could do. Let's see what we can get. But as always, we end every episode. Kapla! And live long and prosper.
I will be right here. Peace and long life.